we'll go ahead and get started. This is Brenda Fest, and I'm with the Native Plant Society of the Bernie chapter, and we are here to talk to you about the 2022 Native Plant and Pollinator Youth Biodiversity Challenge and iNaturalist Training. The Native Plant Society of Texas, a Bernie chapter, and the Cibolo Nature Center and Farm are sponsoring this contest for Kendall County. The contest was first launched in 2015 as a way to challenge amateur photographers of all skill levels to use their cameras as a tool to learn more about native plants and pollinators of the Texas Hill Country. This year, we're taking a new and exciting approach. Photos are submitted via a project created on the iNaturalist app. And that's what Craig Hensley, who is a biologist with the Texas Nature Trackers program of Texas Parks and Wildlife. And Craig is going to help us learn how to use iNaturalist and Seek, which is a similar program for children, and help and teach us how we can participate in this challenge and use the iNaturalist app and your phones and learn a lot about native plants and help us get this project going. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn everything over to Craig. And Craig is going to tell us a little bit more about, oh, one more thing before I go. Everything that you need to know about this project is on the Bernie NPSOT website. So any questions you might have, go on there. You can see the link to all the information. And if you have any questions, they'll probably be answered there. Okay, Craig, take it away. Oh, did you want to answer questions as we go along, or did you want us to take them at the end?
I think probably in case some of this is new to folks, probably take them as we go along. So just
Okay.
give me a heads up when you got
Okay.
somebody asking a question, and I'll try to answer it on the spot. And that way we don't have to kind of fiddle our way back through everything. So
okay, all right.
All right, very good. Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to visit with you all tonight.
No, I'm there, but it just shows a little. Yes, there you go. There you go. All right. Thank you, Rita. Bye-bye.
All right. So I'm thinking now we got everybody here. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I am Craig Hensley with Texas Nature Trackers program with TPWD, and I was asked by representatives of the Native Plant Society to help them kind of put this new idea out in the world, and consequently they have. And so my primary job that I have is in the work that I do is I work with a program that tries to engage community scientists all over the state of Texas through the Texas Nature Trackers program, using iNaturalist as the tool to get people to engage in the natural world. I am with Texas Parks and Wildlife. I'm a part of the Wildlife Diversity Program, which is basically a non-game program with Texas Parks and Wildlife. And our team is called the Community Stewardship and Engagement Team, which pretty much speaks for itself in terms of what our small team tries to do. So tonight, what I want to try to do is for those of you that may not be as familiar with iNaturalist or Seek, I want to try to go through both of those apps, both the apps themselves, and then also the website for iNaturalist, because there's a lot you can do with the website. I'll show you the how to actually upload photographs. So if you're using your camera instead of your cell phone, you can actually upload images from your camera directly into iNaturalist. So we'll walk you through that process as well tonight. So, and then try to answer questions as we go along as well. So just to kind of introduce what we have here for those of you, I'm going from the standpoint that nobody has ever used this app, either one of these apps. So when you download either one of them, the symbols on your phones are going to look like that. iNaturalist requires an account. It requires somebody to be 13 or over the age of 13. Seek was developed for children under the age of 13 and under to protect their privacy. However, the neat thing about it is if you as a parent have iNaturalist and iNaturalist account, you can download the Seek app for your child, and they can still participate in this project. All you have to do is log in through the phone that they're using. so that you're in your iNaturalist account when you're taking pictures with Seek, and you can directly upload into iNaturalist, so it becomes part of this contest. So we're going to walk you through both of those tonight. Well, first of all, iNaturalist, just so you all know, it's an online social network of people. Imagine that, online social networks of people sharing biodiversity information to help each other learn about nature. And when this was developed many years ago by some college students in California, they had two goals. One was to connect people with nature. The other one was to create a way to generate actual scientific data about the plants and animals of the globe, really, the world. And it's turned into a very, very powerful tool. As of a couple of weeks ago, more than 91 million observations using iNaturalist have been posted globally. That's a lot. That's a lot of data, potential data. Certainly a lot of observations. And here in Texas, we are approaching 6 million observations through iNaturalist, which is a tremendous amount of data. And as a result, you might understand why an agency like Texas Parks and Wildlife would be interested in being able to utilize some of that data to learn more about the flora and fauna of the state. The very, very basic way it works is you download the app to the phone, you create an account. We'll talk about doing that. Then you go out with your phone and you take a picture of a plant or an animal, and you share that photograph with other iNaturalist users, and they help have a discussion, and essentially virtual discussion, and help you to identify what you're looking at. The other great thing about the iNaturalist app is its artificial intelligence is such that it can do a powerfully good job of identifying what you're taking a picture of right there on the spot as soon as you take the picture. Now, it's not always going to be perfect. You need to know that going in, but it's pretty darn good. So how it works in detail, first of all, you have to tell them who you are. So that's, again, creating an iNaturalist account. Again, with Seek, you do not have to do this step, okay? So you got it with iNaturalist, you create an account. Basically, you're creating a username, providing your email address, and creating a password so that you can access the app and your web page on iNaturalist. You have to have evidence of what you saw. So that's a photo or a sound. In order for something to become research grade, which is the goal of iNaturalist observations that Texas Parks and Wildlife uses, but then also the goal of this project is to try to get positive IDs. 2/3 of the people that look at that image have to agree as to what it is. So that means if you take a picture of a yellow butterfly with black stripes and it says it's a tiger swallowtail and you agree it's a tiger swallowtail, that's you, one person. And if somebody comes on and helps you identify it and confirm that it's a tiger swallowtail, suddenly it becomes a research grade observation, and suddenly it's part of the your list of critters that are in this contest. What you saw, let's say you're out and you're taking pictures and you're brand new to this and you don't know a lot about all the different kinds of pollinators that are out there. You take a picture of a bee and you don't know exactly what it is. You can at least say, hey, it's a bee. So you can put a placeholder basically on it by typing in bee or wasp or whatever. And then that placeholds it so that when you do upload it to iNaturalist, hopefully somebody will come along and help you to identify that organism, hopefully the species. But with a lot of our pollinators, and I'll say this more than once tonight, a lot of our pollinators are very, very tiny bees. As a result of that, they are not all going to be capable of being identified through a photograph, okay? Scientists use scalpels and needles and tiny, tiny little other tools underneath a microscope to dissect lots of different kinds of pollinators because they are so tiny in order to look at different parts of their anatomy to be able to figure out what they are to species. So don't be surprised if everything that you take a picture of can't be identified to species. That's, I guess you could call it a frustrating thing for us naturalists, but that is just the reality of life, frankly. And then when you saw it, the nice thing about your phone is it's going to give a date and a timestamp, so that way you'll know it's the folks that are organizing this will know that it's within the boundary, the time boundary of the project, and then also where you saw it. And one of the nice things about this is it'll give the coordinates of that location. So the location for this particular competition or friendly competition, whatever they're calling it, is Kendall County. So anything taken within Kendall County, if you've joined this project, will be entered into the contest, okay? So that's the boundary. Within that boundary of Kendall County, the exact location where you took the picture will be provided. But one of the things I will also tell you is that because people want to protect their privacy sometimes with different things, especially rare critters or rare plants, you can actually protect your privacy settings so that that people can't come like onto your parents' property or your property if you are the parent and steal those things from the ground or whatever. So you can protect your actual privacy while still providing some useful data potentially. And so every time you take a picture with iNaturalist or Seek, you're creating what's called a digital voucher. Basically, you're creating a dot on the map which says this organism is at this location at this date and time. Okay, it's not telling us population numbers. It's not telling us what's not there. It's only telling us what's there at that date and time. So keep that in mind. But that digital voucher is kind of like the equivalent of, used to be, and they still do it, but it used to be you'd go out and you'd collect an insect, you'd kill it, you'd put a pin in it, and then you put it in a box with a label on it. Well, this is the box. This is the digital box. So you don't actually have to kill the critter when you're using iNaturalist or Seek. You're actually just recording that it's present right there. So let's talk first about the Seek app. So when you open up Seek, after you've downloaded, again, you don't have to have an account for this. So when you open it up, it's going to start to look like that, and then it's going to transition to this page right here on your phone. And there's a couple of things on here I want you to notice. First of all, if you go down, when you're in here, if you are logged in, if your parents are logged into iNaturalist, you'll notice when you scroll downward on this page that it will show you, it'll say you're logged into iNaturalist, welcome back, there's your name. And so you can actually post photos directly to iNaturalist using Seek if the person with the account is actually online and logged in. So what I want to show you next is, again, go back to this main screen. You click on home, then it's going to show you this right here. And then you can select a location. So you could say Kendall County, you could say Bernie, you could say anywhere in the world. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull up a series of recent observations in that particular area. So the monarch butterfly at this time that I actually took the screenshot was one of the recent species. You can also choose a species or a group of species. So if you only want to pollinate, that's funny. My phone started talking to me about monarch butterflies. Imagine that. Anyway, wow, weird night electronically here. So you can choose a group of species, or you can just say all species and it'll just tell you what's out there. But if I were to select, I could select amphibians, I could select birds, I could select insects, and it would show me recent observations of those taxa groups. And there's that recent sightings, as I mentioned. Now, let's say you're in Seek. Once you open it up, you can click on that camera, and it may be a circle with a plus sign if you're using an Android. And you can take a photograph. So you go ahead, you click on that, you point your camera at the object you're trying to take a picture of. In this particular case, it was frostweed, a common wildflower of the fall in Kendall County. And what's really cool is when all of these dots get filled in green, it gives you a species name. Now, if it doesn't get to species in Seek, one of the things I've learned is it won't save it on Seek. You can still transfer it up to iNaturalist, but it won't save it in Seek, just so you know. And the reason it won't is because it's not a species, and Seek is set up in a much more simple formula, if you will, so that it just doesn't do that. So I learned that the hard way a week ago at a training. So that was kind of interesting. So anyway, when you get it, it says frostweed, and then you can go up here and it's going to show you that you observed a new species if you've never photographed it before. It's been added to your observations on Seek, okay? And then you can click on View Species, and you can actually learn more about this plant if you choose to. Okay, so let's take another example. So now we're logged into iNaturalist. I found this little spider on the wall. I take a picture of it. It says, hey, we believe this is a member of the family Salticinae. And then you can either take another photograph of the same thing. And notice it doesn't say what kind of spider it is, only that it's in this group of spiders. Because again, small organisms, like even a lot of spiders, can't be identified to species with a photograph. So now what's going to happen is, so I've got this, it says I can take another photograph. It says species nearby in this taxon. Now, what I can do is I can post to iNaturalist. Again, if I'm logged into iNaturalist, when I'm using Seek, I can go ahead and post by clicking on Post to iNaturalist. Here it is right here. And as I'm going to show you in iNaturalist, it's going to show you the date and the time, the location, geo-privacy, which means it's going to share the coordinates with everybody. And then down here, really, really important, because with this contest, they're looking for native plants. Not necessarily, if it's a native plant and it's in your garden and you planted it there, that's okay, okay? Now, one of the tricks with this contest, though, and we may have to wrestle with this as we go along. If it's a captive or cultivated species, so let's say you planted that native plant and you say, yeah, it's cultivated, then it's not going to save it as a research grade observation. It's just not going to do it. If it's a captive, let's say you raised a monarch from an egg during this time, probably not realistic at this time of the year, but let's say that would be a captive organism, then again, it wouldn't become a research grade observation. So kind of a warning to all the folks, the grown-ups here, that we set this up, Rita and all, we'll have to wrestle with that a little bit as we get farther into it. And then all you do is you post to iNaturalist by clicking on that. And it goes to this screen, you click OK. And then what's really neat is it shows you that it has actually posted to iNaturalist, one observation uploaded. You can open up iNaturalist and show that it actually did happen. So with iNaturalist, so that's Seek. Seek is a very basic tool to go out and especially for kids, to point your camera at a plant or animal and try to start learning what those things are out there. It's a great way to explore nature. If you're in science class in school and they're asking you to do a report on some kind of bug or whatever, and you get to go out and find it, or a plant, you can actually do those pictures on the Seek app and learn quite a bit about it. So we get to iNaturalist now. This is the app you have to actually create an account. And so what I suggest, if you haven't already created an account, I would go to your computer and I would go to www.inaturalist.org to create your account, okay? And there's one reason for this. You can do it on your phone, but there's one reason I'm going to show you here in a couple of minutes as to why you might want to consider doing it on the computer. So, and they don't tell you about that when you download the app, okay? This is insider trading here, if you will. So you can either log in or sign up by clicking right here on the page. When you get to that page, it's going to look like this. So if you already are an account holder, you can type in your username or email, your password, and then you can sign in. If you're not, if you haven't created that account yet, you can start a new account by clicking there. And this is a screen is going to look very similar to this. You're going to create a username right here. It could be your email. It could be whatever you want it to be. You can then you need to type in your email, and then you create a password, confirm the password. And here's the important thing right here. You'll notice that the default time zone is Hawaii time. Clearly here in Central Texas, this is not Hawaii. So what you have to do is click on the down arrow, select Central Standard Time to get it into our time zone, and then you're good to go. And the reason that's important is because if you don't do that, then when you're in a timed event using iNaturalist, your observation may not go into that timed event because the time frame is so far off. So that's why you want to make sure that that's set up for Central Standard Time. All right, and then click no, I'm not a robot, and your account is created. So the reason I say do it on the web is because your app doesn't allow you, when you create an account on your phone, once you've downloaded the app, unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to adjust the time there. Okay, so that's why, again, that's the one advantage to do it on the computer. And as you're going to see, when you do it on the computer, you're also going to find out real early on that you get your own web page in iNaturalist. And we'll go through that here in a little bit. So let's say you've downloaded the app, you've created your account, you've done everything, you're now ready to go out and take a picture of something. Okay, so I'm going to show you as we walk you through the two apps, we walk you through iNaturalist. There's two different kinds of phones, obviously, the iPhone over to the left and the Android to the right. So I want to show you because the screens look a little bit different depending on the phone. I should also tell you that if you have an older phone, the version that you see on your screen may look different than what you're seeing here tonight. So we picked a version. We couldn't pick a version for every phone that's out there. It's pretty close, but there can be some minor differences. So you just need to know that. All right, so we're going to observe something. We want to take a picture of something. We found a flower with an interesting looking pollinator on it. We're going to, on the iPhone, we're going to click the camera down here at the bottom, or on the Android, we're going to click this green circle with a plus sign in it. When you do that, this is the screen that's going to come up on your phone. And you're going to have 4 choices down here at the bottom. Used to be you only had a camera. Now they've expanded it out to several different options here. Obviously, there's the camera. This is the camera in iNaturalist, okay? Then you're going to be using your phone, but it's through the iNaturalist app. Then you can also choose pictures now from your camera roll. So maybe it's something you took yesterday, you were in a hurry, you didn't open up the iNaturalist account, so you just grabbed a picture of it. Now you can go and select that image from your camera roll and upload it. Or you can now record sound. So now, in terms of pollinators, probably the only one you're going to hear is going to be the hummingbird, and it's going to be the wings, most likely. So that's probably not going to be real important to you. But let's just say you're out and you're hearing some birds sing, or some frogs or toads calling, and you want to record those sounds. You can do that on iNaturalist, upload that sound recording, and then somebody might be able to help you identify what it is. Also, you can also make a recording or make an observation of something you don't get a photo from. It will never become research grade, usable by science, because we don't have proof of it, but you can still do it for your own purposes, okay? I certainly consider that when I have a migratory bird big bird fly over my house and I can't get a photograph, I could still go into iNaturalist for my home project and upload that I saw that critter, but I don't have any photo evidence of it. So let's go ahead and go back. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with camera roll, okay? So let's say you want to pick something off your camera roll. So you click on that. It's going to take you to your photo albums. Then what you do is you click the picture that you want right there that you want to upload. You click on add up here at the top, and that's going to take you to this screen. So notice that it's put it in the photo box right here. Right here, and I'll show you this in a little more detail later. Actually, it said, what did you see? And I actually asked it to tell me what I saw, and there it is right there. And then here's all the information you're going to use to review, and we're going to review this once we take an actual picture of something. So bear with me for just a moment. All right, so that's how you do it if you're uploading something from the from your photo files. Now let's say if you want to record sound, what you would do in the case of recording sound. And again, for this particular project, maybe not so much, but I want to share it with you anyway so that you know what's available. So when you click on that, you're going to get this screen right here. Today, for example, I was out in the trails here at Cibolo Center for Conservation, and I went out and called up a barred owl, and because it was cloudy this morning, and actually called one off its nest, and never seen a barred owl nest before. Found one down along the creek. It started calling, so I went ahead and recorded that sound along with some other birds as I walked along that this morning to document those sound callings. So anyway, if I'm going to record sound, I'm going to click on the microphone. It's going to play for as long as I want. I don't know if there's a limit, probably a minute or something. And then when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and hit save recording. And then the screen's going to come up like this, like you saw with the photo that you uploaded from your photo file. And notice it does not have a photograph, obviously. What it has though is a little speaker with those symbols, because this is a recording, a vocal recording. So now you can click on what did you see, and unfortunately, it's going to give you this screen, and it's not going to give you choices like it does with photographs. iNaturalist is not set up to identify the songs, at least at this point. So what's going to happen here is you're going to have to type in something. Well, let's say you recorded something and you don't know what it is, but you know it was a bird. So you could type in bird, it would populate bird, and at least, again, you're creating a placeholder so anybody interested in bird songs and identifying them may be able to help you on iNaturalist down the road. So I'm going to type that in, but in this case, I knew it was a cardinal. So I typed in northern cardinal, and here it is right here. I select, when it did the drop down, I selected that cardinal. Again, I'm going to go through all of this here in a moment with an actual photograph, but all the same information applies with this recording, okay? And then when I share it, it's going to show a symbol here instead of a photograph of the object. It's going to be, that's going to be the cardinal, song of a cardinal. If it were an amphibian, it would have a different symbol here, but it's only going to show a symbol and the name, not an actual photograph, as you might have guessed. All right, so now let's go to both phones and show what happens when you're going to actually take a picture with iNaturalist, okay? When you have the app open. So you're going to click again on those two buttons, as I showed you earlier. You're going to select camera this time. Now, a little bit of a tip for you here. So you can either use the phone through your camera through iNaturalist, or you can use your camera through your camera on your phone, okay? The one reason you might consider using your camera and taking a picture and then uploading it from your photo file through iNaturalist is that with your camera, you can edit the photograph. So let's say you take a picture of something that's pretty small and you want to be able to zoom in on that small object. You can't edit the photograph while you're in iNaturalist, okay, taking its picture. You can with it when you're in your camera app on your cell phone. So if you need to edit it, take it with the camera, edit your picture, then go ahead and upload it to iNaturalist using your photo, all your photos, your photo files that you have, okay? The other thing I want to, another little trick here, let's say you take a picture of a pollinator on a flower and you're trying to win by the total number of observations you have. You actually have two observations there, okay? You have the flower and you have the critter, the insect. So what you can do is upload one of those photographs, identify it as the flower, upload the other photograph and identify the insect or whatever pollinator happens to be on the flower. So you can get two observations out of one photograph, okay? So keep that in mind as you go through this process. All right, so I took a picture. I happened to take a picture of an oak leaf with some acorns. And notice when I took the picture, it populated here and it populated over here. And now you'll notice there's also a plus sign with a camera over here and a plus sign over here. One of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is when you're taking pictures of flowers, especially, but certainly insects helps, those pollinators. But with the flowering plants, it's oftentimes best to take more than one photograph, okay? And we'll demonstrate that here in a little bit. So what you want to do is take your first picture. Notice I put my hand in the picture, A, to help me focus on the plant, and B, it gives me a size reference. So I know how long my finger is, and that will help me kind of determine what the length of that leaf is in case I need to know that down the road. But I would always encourage you with plants, take more than one picture. If you take a picture of the flower, also take a picture of the leaves. The other thing you might consider doing is if it's a plant that's, you know, yay tall, stand back and take another picture of the entire plant. What that does is it adds to the artificial intelligence and the decision making by that app to help you identify that to species. And then also, if you can't identify it, and let's say iNaturalist can't identify it, there'll be people out there that can look at it and go, hey, based on that leaf and that flower, it's this species, okay? So the more pictures, the better in terms of getting a positive identification. All right, so I knew what this one was because I was just demonstrating it. So what I'm gonna do after I take that picture, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on, there's the photographs, there's your extra photographs. I'm going to click on what did you see? And when you do that, iNaturalist is going to start thinking, and then it's going to populate a whole bunch of choices, okay? So it says, we're pretty sure it's in this genus, and here are our top 10 species suggestions, okay? So I happen to know that it's an oak because it has acorns. I could leave it as an oak, okay? And that at least gives other people a place to start when they're helping with the identification, or you, when you go back and you open up your tree book and go, oh, it's this kind of oak. I happen to know this was Texas live oak, so I went ahead and selected Texas live oak. One thing also to notice, when you set up your app, you can actually choose whether you want your scientific name to be second or first. And speaking of scientific names, okay, a lot of times they pick, all the scientific names are a scientific name. Scientists have set it up, there's one scientific name for everything out here, okay? However, with common names like Texas live oak, some people may call that plateau live oak. They may have another name for it that they heard their parents say years ago, and they've carried it forward for generations. For example, the northern cardinal, the proper common name of the northern cardinal is the northern cardinal. But when I was in school, when I took ornithology, if I ever called the red bird a northern cardinal, he would check it wrong on my test, because to him, it was a red bird. The same species name, Cardinalis cardinalis, but because the common names can differ regionally and by individual, always refer to the specific scientific name to be absolutely correct, okay? So just a little scientific tip for you. All right, so we've now picked Texas live oak, so it's populated here and here, which is great. Now you'll notice if you come down here, this is that same box I've been showing you in a couple of other places. Notice it has the date and the time. So that's all taken care of. You don't have to make any adjustments there. As soon as you take a picture, it documents that for you. Now we have location. So this is the same picture, obviously, same organism. This one says Cibolo Nature Center and Farm. This one says Fair Oaks, Texas. Well, Cibolo Nature Center and Farm is in Bernie, not in Fair Oaks. And so when you start to look, one of the things you'll notice is both of them have a lat longitude. They're actually very close to one another, okay? But the accuracy is off. So the accuracy here is 120 meters. This one is 6. What that is a matter of satellites and which satellite picked up the iNaturalist signal going out there into space. And so that can create kind of a challenge, especially if you're right on the edge of Comal and Kendall County, for example. Let's say you're at Guadalupe River State Park. I used to work at that park. The county line for Kendall and Comal County goes right through the park. So for example, if you're on the Bower unit north of the river at the park, you're in Kendall County for the most part. If you're on the park side, where the campgrounds are and stuff, the only place in the park, in that part of the park where you're in Kendall County, is down at the Discovery Center and the very, very northeastern edge of that part of the park. So when you're close to the boundary, it's important that you're accurate, or it may not count within Kendall County. So just keep that in mind. You shouldn't have to worry about it too much, but I'm just mentioning it just in case. All right, so if you click on that and you need to move your accuracy, you can either do it through a satellite image or you can do it through a map image. And you can take your finger and thumb, move that around, pinch it down, and get your accuracy wherever you want it, and then just hit save, and you're good to go. Save, or this check mark over here on the Android. So we've got that fixed. We're comfortable with that. Now we come down to location visibility or geo-privacy, depending on which app you have. And it defaults to open, which means it shares the actual coordinates of that image, okay? However, you have choices here. So if you click on that, you actually have 3 choices. You can leave it open so everybody sees the actual location. And for most of the things we're going to use iNaturalist for, it doesn't really matter. But let's say you are on you're on your private ranch and you found a horned lizard. Okay, I got to tell you, if you can find a horned lizard in Kendall County, that's pretty amazing. But let's say you found a horned lizard and you took a picture of it and you go, man, I want this in the contest. And let's say this isn't this contest, but let's say you found, oh, let's see, do I know any rare butterflies? Oh man, let's see here. Well, let's just go with the horned lizard because y'all know what it is. So let's say the horned lizard was part of this contest. You took a picture of it, but you didn't want to tell everybody the exact location because you were afraid that somebody might sneak onto your property and steal the last horned lizard in Kendall County. So you can either obscure the coordinates, which means it puts a big box around it with a random spot, and nobody's going to know where that is within 22 kilometers. Good luck finding it. Or you can go total protection and click private, where they're completely hidden from the public. Nobody will know anything about where this thing is, okay? So keep that in mind. You can do that, but like this competition, open is probably the way you're going to default to. And then, is it captive or cultivated? We've already talked about that. The default setting is it's wild, so that's why it says no. But if it were yes, you would click on the one on the left, and you would select yes. If it's captive or cultivated using the Android, you would just click that little box and it would change it with a little check mark. And then finally, there are projects. And so one of the requirements of this particular competition is you have to join the project. You can do that through the website very easily. And what's going to happen is it should populate on the lower part where it says the project should just grab your observation and pull it in, okay? It's not a traditional project where you actually have to join the project and then select the project to include it in the project, okay? You should be able to just join the project and then your observations should go automatically into the project. All right, when you're done with that, you're done. So you can share. And so you click share on the iPhone, you click the check mark over here, and your observation is in the bank, okay? And you're ready to go to the next one. All right, now, just to show you that iNaturalist is not 100% accurate, never will be, but it's pretty darn good, I gotta tell you. We tested it out again today and it was amazing. We were taking pictures of leaves of trees that were only out of their buds, maybe 3 or 4 millimeters. And every time but one, it identified that tree correctly, just based on the little tiny leaves coming out of the buds. But just to show you, here are 3 black vultures. Here are some of its choices that it was giving you to select from. And you'll notice that there's an American bison in there. You'll notice there's wild boar. There's an American black bear. iNaturalist thought maybe that's a possibility. The bear disagrees. Those are black vultures. So this is just showing you, you just have to be aware of that and not be surprised if it's not accurate 100% of the time. All right, I want to give you some photography tips here because that can be really helpful for you in terms of this competition, getting good quality photographs, getting them taken so that the critter is big enough so that iNaturalist can positively identify it, or people helping you out can positively identify it. The first thing I would tell you is that something you might consider, and I'm telling you, this is the coolest thing ever. I have one sitting over here. In fact, I was using it today. It's called a Zenvo, and I don't have stock in the company, so I'm not trying to advertise for them. But I purchased one of these about a year ago. And it is a 15 power magnifier, high quality glass. It clips onto your phone right over your camera lens, and it gives you automatically 15 times closer. And so when you're photographing small flowers or small insects that aren't too flighty, you can put this on your camera and get very close, get very high quality photos. You can even use video with this thing on there and shoot videos if you want to. And you'll notice these are close-ups of some things that I took pictures of with my Zenvo. And it's pretty amazing. The flower, and those are flowers in the upper right-hand corner of a plant called elbow bush. They've already bloomed, so they're done already. Those individual flowers were no more than about 2.5 millimeters tall. And you can see how good a quality it took with the Zenvo attached to my camera, to my phone, as opposed to if I hadn't had that extra little tool. So again, for close-up photography, it works really good. It costs about 45 bucks. Comes with a lanyard. It also has rubber on the little alligator clip. It's rubberized so that it doesn't slide around on your phone like the ones that are made of plastic. So just something to keep in mind. You can also, again, take pictures through your camera. This is the camera I use through work. and I get some pretty darn good pictures, and I can download the photographs from the camera directly into iNaturalist. I'll walk you through that here in just a little bit. All right, so photographing wildflowers. Get a good picture of the flower, then edit the photograph to get it as big as you can, if possible, or get closer to it. Again, that Zenvo might help you with that. I also like to take a picture of the side of the flowers because it gives you a different perspective. I've got my hand in there so I can, again, I'll know about how long the petals are, things like that. And then I always take a picture when I take pictures of wildflowers. If I don't know what it is, excuse me, I always take pictures of the leaves because it shows the arrangement of the leaves, the approximate size of the leaves, shape, all of that stuff. Very, very important. Especially when you have different species that are very closely or similarly related. And then I always try to take a picture of the entire plant because that's also helpful in terms of identifying what it is. Let's say you're taking a plant that has flowers and it's like it's a woody plant, like right now the Mexican plums are blooming here at the Nature Center, Agarita is blooming. I'm going to not only take a picture of the flower, but I also want to take a picture of the leaves so that I can help with the identification. Plus you learn more that way, right? So one of the things I do is I take a picture again with my hand to show the relative size of the leaves. If there's hair on the back of the leaves, I'll take a picture of the back of the leaves. Or if it's a compound leaf, I want to try to get all of that is there as well. Won't have to worry as much about that. Leaf arrangement can be very important. And leaf arrangement is basically where are the leaves attached on the stem. So this particular arrangement here on the left, the leaves are attached alternately on the stem, one after the other. Over here, the leaves are opposite one another. So there's a leaf here, connects here. There's another one on the opposite side of the stem in the exact same location. So that's opposite, that's alternate. That is very handy for identifying, especially woody plants, but it can also help with wildflowers. And then other things, if you find other oddities, here's a Mexican buckeye flower. Those are just now starting to bud out. They'll be open. They may still be open by the time the contest begins. If you find fruit, take a picture of the fruit. That helps. If you find thorns, or if it's a plant that's got some weird stem, this is obviously a persimmon tree, so that's woody bark. But let's say it's just a big shrub and it's got some weirdly weird looking bark. Take a picture of it. The more the pictures you take, the easier it becomes to identify what you are trying to demonstrate or reveal. When you take pictures of invertebrates, so with butterflies, always tricky with the phone. I'm just going to tell you that straight up front. They've got great eyesight. Those compound eyes can detect movement, any kind of movement, just like a fly or dragonfly or whatever it is. Any insect that has compound eyes, and every one of them does that I know of, is going to be able to detect movement. So you're going to have to move very slowly approaching the butterfly. If you're using a phone, if you're using a camera, and you've got a zoom lens on it, not quite so much. But when you get closer and closer, just go slow, steady. Don't make herky-jerky movements. Get your phone ready to go. So as you get closer and closer, and then before it flies, get a picture, okay? And then if that picture turns out and the butterfly's still there, move a little closer, maybe one or two more steps. Take another picture, okay? A couple more steps. Take another picture. So you sneak in on it, is what I'm trying to tell you. And sometimes that works, but it's slow, steady movement towards the insect as opposed to running right up to it or moving your camera all over the place, because that will chase them off quickly. Ideally, what you would do is get a picture of the upper side, called the dorsal side of the butterfly, because sometimes the dorsal side looks very different than the ventral side or the bottom side when the wings are folded. Can't happen all the time, but do the best you can. Here I got lucky and had two of the same species, one with the wings folded, one with the wings open. Trust me when I say that does not happen very often. And the other thing I'm going to encourage you to do when you're, especially with butterflies and any kind of insect, a lot of them look very similar to the untrained eye, okay? So keep taking pictures, okay? These two butterflies, a lot of people would see these two butterflies and say, well, that's the same species. It's not, they're not the same species. There are some differences here, okay? Dusky blue ground streak has more red in it here. This big M-shaped thing here, the gray hair streak, a little bit different, different orange patterning on the wings. So keep taking pictures. You might be surprised that you may have two very similar species sitting side by side. And there are lots of examples of that. For example, here are two yellow butterflies. Well, this one obviously has some different spotting patterns, although they're similar, but you'll notice it has these little jagged lines here, right here. Over here, we've got this black spot with white in the center. And look at this, we've got this distinct outline right here telling us that this is a dog face. And then this pattern right here tells us it's a cloudless sulfur. So again, keep taking pictures. You'll be surprised how many different species you actually encounter. When it comes to photographing invertebrates, one of the things I would stress, especially with things like bumblebees and other bees and insects like this, try to get a picture from the side, try to get a picture of the back. The more angles you get, the better off you'll be in terms of identifying or at least narrowing down the identification, okay? Again, a lot of these you can't identify the species. It's just not possible. All right, so let's take a quick look at the web page. How are we doing for time? We're doing all right. So when you log into iNaturalist, you get your own web page in iNaturalist, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And you didn't have to pay anything for it. That's the other thing that's pretty cool about it. And when you open up your web page, you're going to see that there's a box here at the top. It's in gray. It has several choices over here. And then you have your name or your username. And you have all of these tabs over here. We're going to explore these tabs up here real quick to show you what you can explore. So first of all, if I click on community, I can search for other iNaturalist users by clicking on people and typing in their username if you know it. You can look for projects right here. You can look at journal posts. You can study the forum. A lot of people have used the forum to ask questions, very specific, detailed questions about iNaturalist. And it comes in very handy for a lot of people. If you click on more, you're going to have taxa info. And you're also down here going to have help. Help is really important. It is one of the best help centers there is on the internet, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, there's video tutorials to help you through things. There you can ask questions. There's just all kinds of help there. So trust me when I say if you have a question, go to that. In terms of taxa info, what's really cool about this one, if you click on it, you can go in and you can search for any plant or animal that might be an iNaturalist. And you can find pictures that other people have taken from other parts of the world or right here at home. You can then look at where were they found, so you can go out and target those if you wanted to. Let's say you were doing a report for school and you needed a picture of I don't know, an armadillo, and you didn't have any. You could go and type in armadillo, and every photograph that's in there, people have the choice of being willing to share their photograph with other users or not, and you can collect on the copyright information, and it will tell you whether you can actually use that photograph or not. So it's a great tool for me in some of my presentations. I will use some of those photographs where I have permission to do it, and then of course give credit to the person who took the photograph. All right, and again, there's the help thing right there. There's also this clear on the right side of this gray box. This is where you would upload a photograph. Here's your email. Here's mail that you've received through iNaturalist. Here's comments about your observations. And then when you click on this symbol right here, you can go back to your dashboard, that first screen I showed you, and you can also go through and kind of shortcut your way to all of these different choices on the tabs that I'm about to show you, okay? So here are those tabs right here. We're not going to talk about all of them tonight, but first of all, there's the profile. When you click on your profile, here's where it comes up, your username, all of that. Again, you can check to make sure it's Central Standard Time. You can put in a description of yourself if you care to upload a photograph, do all kinds of neat things there. And then there are three other tabs I want to show you: observations, IDs, and projects. So first of all, observations, this is all of your observations. You can go in and you can edit your observations. You can review your observations. You can type in it. Let's say you forgot, did I ever take a picture of an armadillo? I can go ahead and type it in under my page, and it will show me if I have any images on my account of armadillos. Your identifications, this is another thing that's kind of, I think, kind of fun. I'm a geek, I'm a nature geek, let's face it. And I have books all over my office. I've got 1,000 books at my home, all nature focused. So yeah, I'm a real geek when it comes to nature. But what's really kind of fun is if you have an expertise, let's say you really like butterflies and you're pretty good at identifying them, you can go and help other people identify what they've taken photographs of. And in fact, One of the things I'm going to encourage, and I haven't talked to Rita about this, but I'm going to ask Rita to think about organizing an identification party at the end of this contest, where you can get people together. They can go through and try to make as many things research grade as possible before the final tally. So that's something we should talk about, Rita, okay? And I'll help with that effort too, because again, I'm a geek and I've got all these field guides and I'm happy to help. All right, and then the other page was project. These are projects that you've joined where you're following them, seeing what other people are finding in that particular area. And you can also create projects, but that's for another training session. You can also search for projects over here as well. And that means you can go look and let's say you want to find projects about butterflies in Texas, type in butterflies Texas, you'll find projects on that you can join and then follow. All right, so let's say we want to upload an image. We've got our camera out. We've taken this great picture of a hummingbird using our camera because we couldn't get it with our phone. And now we want to upload it. So what you're going to do is you're going to come to your computer. You're going to log in. You're going to go to upload and you're going to do this. So there's your upload right there. When you do that, it's going to show this screen right here. Then you're going to put your card from your computer or your camera into your computer, and then you're going to find the picture you want to upload, and then you're going to just, all I do is I click on it and I drag it over. You can see it going, being drug over like that. So I've drugged that picture over there, and then I got a second picture. So I went up and uploaded that too, okay, just so I had two of them. Now I've got two pictures, but it's the same bird. It moved, but it's the same animal, the same critter, okay? And so I don't want to create the same animal. And I would encourage you to not do this in the contest. Don't take a picture, 5 pictures of the same wildflower and then upload it, the same exact wildflower, and upload it and call it 5 observations. That's really not being fair, right? So keep that in mind. But let's say you find a black-eyed Susan blooming here, and then you're in another part of Kendall County, you find a black-eyed Susan over there, well, that counts. You know, it's 2 observations. All right, it's 1 species, but 2 observations, so keep that in mind. So one of the things I want to do, because these are the same bird, I'm going to want to combine these into 1 observation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all. And you'll notice that both of these are now highlighted in green. Okay. And then I'm going to click on combine. And when I click on combine, while I've got select all, it's going to make that into 1 observation with 2 photographs. Okay. All right. So I've got that done. I'm done with that. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the same process I used on the phone, on my phone app. I'm going to ask for it to tell me what it thinks it is. I know that it's an American kestrel, so I'm going to select American kestrel. I'm going to go through the same exact things again down here, time, location, accuracy, all of that. And then I'm going to add this to a project. Let's say I want to add to a project. I can click on projects. It's going to populate all the projects that I've joined. Okay, and then I can select that project before I submit the observation, just like on the app. All right, so now I'm ready to submit. I've checked everything out. The accuracy's good. I like where I actually took the picture. It's actually, oh, and by the way, when you're with a camera and you're taking something of a picture of something a ways away, make sure that when you put the accuracy on there, that you move it on the map to where the critter was, not where you were standing. Because the camera is going to record where you're standing. Okay, just a little hint there. So you submit the observation, and by golly, there it is right there. It is good to go. All right, so that is a quick review of how to use iNaturalist, and an even quicker one on Seek, but Seek is pretty easy. So I want to very briefly show you the different kinds of projects that you can do when you're using iNaturalist. One of the things that they do at Cibolo, or used to do, was a BioBlitz, where they brought a whole bunch of people out together. And they said, on this day, we're going to go out and everybody's going to take a picture of everything they can find. You're essentially taking a snapshot of nature in a specific date and time. Okay, and that's a group effort usually. So that's a BioBlitz. That's what some people do. It's called a BioBlitz. Then you can also have, you can set up your own project. This is a project only focused on butterflies. Okay, so you could do this at your yard, at a park, whatever. We do this at Guadalupe River State Park, where we do butterfly surveys. So not only are we counting butterflies on paper, we're also then the ones we photograph, we upload to our project. You can see we've taken a lot of pictures, obviously. And then you can even create a project for your own house or your own home or your ranch. whatever it is, acreage, whatever it is, you can create your own project. So you can actually track what are the organisms that come to my yard. And right now I think that this just went up to 355 maybe. I found a new spider there yesterday or over the weekend. So I've already recorded 353 species in my tiny little yard in Boerne, Texas. So it's amazing what's around you when you start looking using iNaturalist. Here's your project that you're going to be participating in. It's ready to go. When I copied and pasted this, there were 10 days, 7 hours, 14 minutes, 19 seconds until it starts. So it's coming up quick. You have to read the description about this. You want to join by selecting up here. If I'm already joined as a project helper here, so it would say join project, and you would click on that, and then you would click one more time and you would be in the project. So it's going to be real important to join the project. And I think, and maybe Rita can correct me at the end of this, that you have to provide a username so we can put you in the project so we don't get everybody in Kendall County all their observations. Again, here is the help guide on iNaturalist right here. Lots of information you can find in here. Again, those video tutorials, very valuable, very well done for iNaturalist. And then I also want to mention that after this particular competition or contest is done, there's the City Nature Challenge at the end of April 29th through May 2nd. This is a global challenge. Over 400 cities are participating across the globe. Kendall County is part of this greater San Antonio area, where there are 14 or 15 different locations around the state of Texas. We'll see that map here in just a moment. But if you're in Kendall County, you go out during these 4 days, every observation put in iNaturalist is going to go into this automatically to the City Nature Challenge. Last year, we had 14 metro areas, and San Antonio finished 4th. We'd like to keep moving that up. And I should also give a plug, I believe on the 29th, I think, either the 29th or the 30th, I think it's 29th, Cibolo Center for Conservation is having their own BioBlitz that they're inviting the public to participate in for City Nature Challenge as well. So watch for that as well. So here are all the areas around the state of Texas that are participating this year. Here's the San Antonio area. Of course, there's Kendall County right there. So again, really fun thing to do for 4 days is to get out and just explore nature at a perfect time of the year to do that. Here's what the page looks like right there. If you want to check it out, it's just called City Nature Challenge 2022. And in the case of San Antonio, San Antonio. All right. By the way, that's one of the one of the barred owls I may have seen today. Can't tell for sure, but there it is. So if you have questions, I'm happy to entertain those questions now. I will stop sharing my screen. Again, I hope this was helpful for you, and for if you couldn't attend tonight, hopefully it's still helpful when you watch it. And I want to wish everybody good luck. Hopefully they'll have good participation. This is a pretty radical change from last year's contest, so I'm hoping that it will go very well. So anyway.
Craig, have you used BirdNet?
I'm sorry. Good.
So go ahead to the first question.
Craig, have you used BirdNet at all?
I have not used BirdNet, and no, I have not. So I really don't know anything about it.
It's Cornell University has BirdNet, and then a Genius app that you can download, and it's pretty useful for identifying bird songs.
Oh,
so
yeah, I believe that.
So I was thinking, and all kinds of background information on the birds as well. Okay, and it gives probability of, pretty much absolutely sure to, well, there's a guess. So,
right.
And what you can do is when you're recording, you can just move your finger on your phone to a certain section of the recording and identify that, and then move along a few seconds later and identify another one. So I was wondering whether it was compatible with iNaturalist and whether you could.
It is not. I do know that. So eBird is not compatible. iNaturalist is kind of a standalone app. So that's, and I know a lot of people are like, well, why can't we do that? Why can't we take our eBird data and put it on iNaturalist? It's just, they're just set up differently. So, and I'm not a computer genius, so I can't explain why, but.
If, for example, okay, I don't know whether you could, do the BirdNet app and the recording, and then play that while you have the iNaturalist on at the same time, or if you had two phones, you could actually do it that way.
you probably could do it that way, actually. Certainly you could do that way. So that would be one way to do that. Yeah, so I wouldn't say you couldn't do it, that's for sure. So, I mean, I've uploaded images into iNaturalist through, I take a picture through my camera and then I hold my phone up to the back of the camera because it's a bird a long ways away, and I take a picture of the image on the back of my camera and upload it to iNaturalist. So I think that's the same thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's one way to kind of expedite that. So it does work pretty well that way. So it sounds like that song app would do the same thing potentially.
Well, the BirdNet is from the Cornell University Ornithology Department.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Hey man, there's so many great nature apps out there. It's ridiculous. It would be nice if they all talked to each other, but then that would mean not everybody would make as much money off of it, I guess.
Craig, we did have one question from Nancy who wanted to know, will we be able to get the small rulers from Trackers to give to the kids?
What small rulers? I have no idea what you're speaking of.
I don't know.
Those things are in hot demand, let me tell you. But yes, what we can do, and I can talk to Rita how we might coordinate that.
Okay.
Getting them, and I would say one per family is probably the way I'd go with it.
Okay.
Or even just set a limit, first come, first serve. I just found them so useful for me.
Oh, they are. I agree, Nancy. I agree that they are. So I have them here at my office here, and my office is at Cibolo Center for Conservation. So you can certainly reach out to me. I'm not always in my office, but I am quite a bit. Hopefully not too much though, but I'm happy to make whatever arrangements we need to be able to get those to folks. So we can work on those details.
Excellent. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions in the chat room. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I had one more question that you missed. Can you say the name of the project one more time?
It is the 2022 Youth Native Plant and Pollinator Challenge. And all of the really good information is right there on the Bernie NIPSOT website. Not the third article down, but it gives that and all the rules and all the good information. So if they have any questions, they know how to contact somebody. So
Brenda, if we want to use view the recording again, how do we access it?
Lorraine, that's a question for you. I'm thinking that, well, I don't know, maybe it's a question for Craig or Rita, somebody besides. I'm not sure where it's going to be, but logically, I think we'll probably put it on the same link where we have all the information about the project itself. That way, when it says, here's all the rules and regs, and here's the information section, then they should be able to just click on that. That's kind of, I'm thinking.
That would be a good idea. Yeah.
That sounds logical. So, but anyway, that's what I'm thinking will probably happen. Shouldn't be too hard to find. So, well, that being said, I think we're done. Thank you so much, Craig, for all your help, and any questions you might have, just refer back to our website and contact somebody, and we're excited about getting this going.
And I'm putting my email address in the chat right now. That way, if anybody needs it, you can always reach out to me if you have specific questions about the app or whatever. In terms of the contest, the folks that you need to talk to are right there on the screen. But in terms of the using iNaturalist or Seek, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you all. Take good care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.